So we all know that 2017 was an amazing year for Nintendo. They launched a brand new console. That console was a huge hit, a huge success, and people around the world were loving it. And they also had a non-stop stream of incredible, mostly first-party games. Now, the time of me recording this video, sitting here talking to you right now, is December 28th, 2018, which means that we are mere days away from 2019, which is effectively going to be the third year of the Nintendo Switch's life. Once we hit March 3rd, we're into year 3, and that's crazy to think about. Now, looking back at 2018, I've discussed this many times, so have many other people as well, the fact that 2018 maybe was quite a bit slower, or less jam-packed with awesome games for Nintendo and the Switch compared to 2017. I firmly believe that that's true. I also firmly believe that that's not a bad thing, nor does it spell doom and gloom for Nintendo or the Switch, so hopefully no one ever really took those statements from me or other YouTubers as stating that, because I think any company has the right to have up and down years. And honestly, when you look at 2018, it's not like Nintendo didn't still see really strong sales success with the Switch and some of its games. But of course, with us being so close to 2019 and year 3 for the Nintendo Switch, we all want to start turning our eyes forward and thinking about the future. That's always a fun thing to do. You guys know me. I've discussed that many times over the years when looking at Nintendo and during the Wii U years and even into the Switch years here and with the 3DS and even with other consoles. The future is always fun and exciting, man, and I think a lot of us already recognize how great Nintendo is going to have of a year in 2019 from a first-party standpoint. There's going to be so many great first-party exclusive games for the Switch coming, as well as some that might even still make it to 2019 we don't even yet know. Of course, mostly looking at Metroid Prime 4. But just the simple fact that we know Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Luigi's Mansion, Fire Emblem, Yoshi, so many different things are happening next year first party, so that's going to be great. But what about the third-party situation? That's something that we've seen kind of ebb and flow over the last couple of years, but it's definitely been stronger, I think, in the first 2 years of the Switch's life compared to most of the Wii U's life. As much as I love the Wii U, we all know that Nintendo has struggled in that respect over the last couple of years. And so things have been looking pretty good for the Switch overall. In 2019, I think we might actually see things get way, way better. That's right. Even though we've seen strong third-party support in 2017 and pretty strong support in 2018, I think that 2019 is going to be when it really hits you guys. I think this is going to be when the third-party floodgates open, and this was something I've been thinking for a while, and with some recent titles that were even confirmed for the Nintendo Switch in 2019, it kind of more further proved my theory that we're going to see this happen. If you go back to E3 earlier this year, you'll remember we saw what I think is one of the first huge AAA, very high-profile third-party games that were announced to be coming to the Switch, and that would be Doom Eternal. And that's a big deal for a few reasons. One, because Doom is just a great franchise and a great game we want to see on the Switch. Also because the previous Doom from 2016 was just so stinking good. Bethesda's a great company to have supporting Nintendo or any console. It's great to see them supporting the Switch. And we also know that the game is going to be very graphically impressive and run in a very impressive engine, so it's a great showcase for what the Switch is truly capable of. And beyond all of those, for me, something I think is really huge there is the fact that it's releasing day and date with the other consoles. At least right now, that's the word. They have said, yes, they're targeting day and date with the Switch compared to the PC, PS4, and Xbox One, so that's all great news. And so there you go. We started to see, man, more great third-party games coming to the Switch. What else are we going to see? And that's where, when you look over the last couple of weeks, the Game Awards gave us 2 other huge, fantastic games that were confirmed to be coming to the Nintendo Switch, and that is Mortal Kombat 11 and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Of course, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 probably jumps out as one of the really big deals here because that game was also confirmed to be exclusive to the Switch. Developed by Team Ninja, published by Nintendo, a Marvel game in this current age where the Marvel Cinematic Universe on film is one of the hugest things on planet Earth. This is a huge gain and a huge win for Nintendo, and it shows that companies and other entities are willing to lend their properties to Nintendo in an exclusive fashion, and that means a lot for what Nintendo is accomplishing with the Switch. and for third-party content. I mean, think about it. Not only is this game and a third-party studio, Team Ninja, developing a game exclusively for the Switch, but also Marvel, the entity itself, is also willing to make this video game licensed property exclusive to one console, similar to how they allowed Spider-Man to do the same with the PS4. And so this is huge, and it's already in a well-established franchise. Those 6th gen Marvel Ultimate Alliance games were awesome, top-down, like dungeon-crawling Marvel action games. Great co-op action. This one I'm sure is going to be online as well. This is just going to be so great, and it's like, hey, there's another third-party win for Nintendo and for the Switch. Of course, Mortal Kombat 11. Again, this is a game that it's A, just exciting to see existing, and B, fantastic to know this is coming to the Switch. This is the first time in, like, I don't know, probably a decade, 10 or 11 years. I think there was a game on the Wii, the last Mortal Kombat game on a Nintendo console, that Mortal Kombat has come to a Nintendo machine, basically. And so this is huge, and, you know, it's very high profile again, AAA, very mature, very bloody, the kind of stuff that a lot of people for a very long time thought didn't actually come to Nintendo consoles. Us Nintendo fans know that that's not true, and there's even been Switch games that have proven that, but still some people have that misconception. So you get a game as well known as Mortal Kombat 11 coming to the Switch, and I'm sure a lot of people start to realize, oh, I guess that Nintendo consoles aren't just for kiddie kids. Sometimes they do get really good games with mature or adult themes. And so that's why Mortal Kombat 11 is another huge win. A lot of us cannot wait to see what this game looks like. I want to see how great the graphics engine is going to look. I want to see the awesome gameplay. I love Mortal Kombat. You guys know I'm an old man, and I go back to the very first game. What a big deal that was, and so seeing Mortal Kombat finally come back to Nintendo in the Switch age is a huge win for more third-party support. Now, there's a couple of other notable third-party, pretty big releases that we know to also expect on the Switch next year in 2019. Dragon Quest XI, of course, should hopefully finally release on the Switch. Daemon X Machina, another badass-looking exclusive game. Crash Team Racing is also coming as well. And then there's also Bayonetta 3, which we don't know will be 2019, but I think has a really good shot at being released in 2019. I'm kind of putting my money on that one. It certainly could slip to 2020, no doubt. But right now, there's a really good shot that it comes out next year. And so that's just a couple of games, and there's even some other ones, if you wanted to dig, that we see coming to the Nintendo Switch next year. But it's the really high-profile games that have me the most interested, which is Doom Eternal, Mortal Kombat 11, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and Dragon Quest XI. These are big deal games from big publishers, big developers, and games that cover a wide variety of genres and also scale all the way up to very mature themes and mature content. And this is the kind of stuff that the more like this we see come to the Switch and to Nintendo's platforms, the better. And so I personally see that we're going to get, just like I said, the floodgates for third-party content is going to be opening up in 2019. It's the third year for the console. If you think about it, we're going to be in year 3. Sales were through the roof in year 1. Sales were very solid consistently in year 2. It was recently announced that in the United States, that in North America, the United States, the Switch has sold the most in its first 21 months compared to any other console ever. So it's technically right now still the fastest selling machine. So it's still doing so well that by the time we get to year 3, we're probably going to see more and more evidence of all these third-party developers that were a little bit shy to jump in right off the bat have games finally start to release. I mean, one would have to think that by the end of 2017, a lot of companies were realizing, man, this new Nintendo console is the hotness, it is the business, and we don't want to be missing releasing games on this console, so let's start developing stuff now to release on the Switch down the road. And so by the time 2019 comes around, another 2 years later, we might start to finally see the fruits of all these companies' labors, and more games will be coming. Granted, right now, I'm only listing a few games here. Like I said, this is like, what, 7 or 8 games I've talked about. And there's even some ports and some remasters that are still planning on coming. We're getting Tales of Vesperia, Saints Row the Third, like 28 Final Fantasy games, Crystal Chronicles remastered. Like, there's other third-party stuff coming as well. It is the new games that I think are the most important to pay attention to, and that's why that stuff gets me excited. But I think we're going to see more, you know? Will we eventually see Rockstar give us more great games? Is Grand Theft Auto going to make it over finally? Is Call of Duty finally going to come? Is EA going to, you know, pull their heads out of their asses and release some Star Wars games or some Battlefield games on the Switch? I mean, I think 2019 is going to be the year that we finally start to see companies start to really dump their games onto Nintendo's console. You know, we don't want to downplay the fact, to be fair, that by the end of 2017, we did still start to see that happen. There really were some great games that started to show up, even in year one, man. We got Resident Evil games, we got Doom, we had LA Noire, so many great things. And I just think that right now, we're going to see that same kind of support pushed to the next level in 2019. And so I know that there's always been an argument out there by some people that Nintendo doesn't need third-party games, and Nintendo shouldn't have to rely on third-party games. Nintendo's so great and infallible and perfect, and their first-party content is so good that they don't need those other companies in their games. And, you know, I've shared my opinion on this before. I mean, I think that's kind of a crazy statement, okay, let's just be real. But one thing I've said is, hey, at the end of the day, yeah, Nintendo could barely skirt by and survive with just their content alone. Absolutely. And you know what? Most of their first-party content and franchises are good enough for the most part to barely support a console and a company. Sure. But there's no doubt that to truly have success, to truly have like a healthy, life-sustaining business and a console in this crazy competitive market and industry nowadays, even the mighty Nintendo, my favorite company and my favorite console right now, they still need third-party support. And that's not a bad thing. The thing is, some people might want to just think that the idea of them needing or relying on third-party support is inherently bad or negative. And to me, I'm going to be real. I'm going to keep it real with you. That's a crazy statement. I think it's kind of an immature statement. And so I like to see Nintendo and third parties working together. It just keeps everybody healthy. The third-party companies win. Nintendo wins. Sony and Microsoft win in the same respect when they get these same games as well. It's just what keeps kind of everything churning and moving forward in the industry. Like, it's essentially the circle of life, as cheesy as that sounds. And so, while Nintendo obviously has the best first-party content, and they're probably the only company that could just barely scrape by and survive on that alone, it's nice to see this stuff coming to the console because it does make a difference. People want their third-party stuff on their Nintendo console. Hell, I want third-party stuff on my Nintendo console, man. I love and play and support my PS4 and Xbox One with those third-party games all the time. But you know what? I would prefer, in many cases, to play those same games on my Switch, on my Nintendo console, for many different reasons that are my own. And so that goes to show you, even a Nintendo fan like myself still wants these third-party games on this console. So like I said, it's the circle of life and everybody wins when that happens. So that's kind of my perspective on that. And I, of course, now want to hear from you guys. You know, what do you expect from third parties on the Nintendo Switch next year? Do you think it's going to be as solid and great and amazing as I do? Do you think it might stay kind of a little bit slow or muted? Maybe you think it's even going to slow down? I think that would be crazy when you look at the likes of Ultimate Alliance and Mortal Kombat and Doom and stuff continuing to come, but you never know. People can have all sorts of opinions, and I want to hear whatever it is you have to say. So those are my thoughts on this topic today. Let's see what 2019 brings. Thanks so much, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Ro2R, and I'll catch you next time on another video.